What if I told you that right now, somewhere in Japan, a person is sleeping comfortably in the back of a van they bought for around $500, and that van is warmer, cleaner, and more organized than some apartments in major cities around the world? That might sound hard to believe, but vehicle living in Japan is more common than most outsiders realize, and the people doing it have developed some genuinely clever solutions to make it work. Today we are going inside that world, step by step, to understand exactly how it happens. Japan is one of the most technologically advanced countries on the planet. Bullet trains connect cities in minutes. Convenience stores stay open around the clock. Vending machines dispense hot soup on cold winter nights. From the outside, Japan looks like a country where everyone is comfortable, well-fed, and sheltered. But underneath that polished surface, there is a reality that a lot of people outside Japan never see or hear about. Housing costs in major Japanese cities have climbed steadily for years. Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya are expensive places to rent even a small room. When you combine rising rents with the kind of unstable employment that has become more common in Japan over the past few decades, you start to understand why some people end up without a fixed address. Japan has a word for a particular type of temporary, low-wage contract worker, haken. These haken workers often move between jobs, sometimes relocating to different regions entirely, and the combination of temporary income and high upfront rental costs can make it extremely difficult to maintain a stable apartment. Some people experiencing housing insecurity in Japan do not end up in shelters, they end up in cars. This is partly a cultural thing. There is a concept in Japanese culture called Hygiene, which roughly translates to shame or embarrassment. Entering a public shelter can feel deeply uncomfortable for many Japanese people because of the social stigma attached to it. Sleeping in your own vehicle, by contrast, can feel more private, more dignified, and more manageable. But not everyone living in a vehicle is doing so out of desperation. Japan also has a growing community of people who choose vehicle living as a lifestyle. Seasonal workers, travel enthusiasts, and people who simply want to live with fewer expenses and more freedom have all been part of Japan's van-dwelling scene for years. Some call this kind of intentional mobile living kurumayado, meaning something like staying in your car as lodging. Whatever the reason someone ends up living in a van, the challenges are very real, especially in winter. And to understand how people meet those challenges, we first need to talk about the van itself. Because not just any vehicle will do, and the choice of van matters more than you might think. If you had to sleep inside a vehicle every night, your standard small sedan would become uncomfortable very quickly. The seats do not fold flat, the space is cramped, and there is nowhere to store anything. A regular passenger car can work for a night or two, but for sustained vehicle living, it falls apart fast. This is why vans have become the vehicle of choice for people living on wheels in Japan. Specifically, two models come up again and again in conversations about van living in Japan: the Toyota Hiace and the Nissan Caravan. Both of these are medium-sized cargo or passenger vans that have enormous amounts of space in the back. The cargo area of a Hiace, for example, is long enough for most adults to lie down flat, which is actually one of the most important practical requirements for vehicle living. You simply cannot get quality sleep if you are sleeping at an awkward angle every single night. There is another category of van worth mentioning: the K-van. K-vehicles are a class of small, lightweight vehicles unique to Japan, defined by strict size and engine limits. They are extremely common in Japan's used vehicle market, partly because they are cheap to buy, cheap to register, and cheap to run. A used K-van can sometimes be purchased for the equivalent of a few $100s, which brings us back to that $500 figure we mentioned at the start. While a larger Hiace or Caravan will typically cost more, a compact K-van in decent condition is genuinely within reach of someone with very limited funds. The used vehicle market in Japan is also known for the quality and reliability of its cars. Japan has strict vehicle inspection laws called Shaken, and vehicles that pass these inspections are generally in good mechanical condition. This means that even a cheap used van in Japan is likely to be more reliable than you might expect. The interior of these vans typically features a completely flat cargo floor once the rear seats are removed, which is the ideal starting point for any kind of conversion. No raised wheel arches, no awkward bumps, just a flat platform you can work with. And working with that platform is exactly where the transformation begins. But before we talk about building a bed, there is one more thing to understand about the sleeping situation, because Japanese van dwellers often make a choice here that surprises a lot of Western observers. Walk into most Western van conversion videos and you will see elaborate wooden builds with raised platform beds, built-in storage underneath, slide-out drawers, and foam mattresses. It looks impressive. It also takes significant time, money, and carpentry skill to build. Japanese van conversions often look quite different, and the difference reflects both resourcefulness and cultural preference. The basic sleeping platform in a Japanese van conversion is usually simple by design. Wooden boards are the most common material. Someone living in a van might pick up boards from a home improvement store like Kane's or Conan, cut them to size, and lay them across the cargo area, supported by low frames, plastic storage boxes, or wooden crates. The goal is just to create a stable, level surface at a consistent height. It does not need to be beautiful. It needs to be functional. Under that platform is where things get smart. Because the platform is elevated slightly off the van floor, the space underneath becomes usable storage. Flat plastic containers or cardboard boxes can slide underneath, holding clothing, tools, food supplies, and other items that would otherwise clutter the living space. In a vehicle where every cubic centimeter of space counts, this underfloor storage is genuinely valuable. The platform itself is usually covered with a thin layer of cushioning. Sometimes this is a foam pad purchased from a 100-yen shop or discount store. Sometimes it is a folded blanket. The goal is just to take the hardness off the boards before the futon goes down. And this brings us to one of the most distinctly Japanese elements of van living in Japan, the choice of bedding itself. In Western countries, the phrase sleeping on a mattress is almost synonymous with having a proper bed. Mattresses are thick, heavy, and designed to stay in one place. They are not designed to be folded up, stored, and unfolded again every day. This makes them poorly suited to van living, where space during the day is precious. Japanese people have been sleeping on futons for centuries. A traditional Japanese futon set typically consists of a shiki-buton, which is the bottom mat that you sleep on, and a kake-buton, which is the upper quilt or duvet that covers you. Both are designed to be folded and stored when not in use. This is actually a feature, not just a tradition. In small Japanese apartments, the futon gets rolled up every morning and stored in the closet, turning the bedroom into a living room. The same logic applies perfectly to a van. During the day, a folded futon takes up a fraction of the space that a mattress would occupy. It can be pushed to one side of the van or tucked under a shelf. At night, it unrolls across the sleeping platform and creates a genuinely comfortable sleeping surface. Modern synthetic futons available at stores like Nitori or Muji are also lightweight and machine washable, which matters a lot when you are living in a vehicle and need to keep things clean without access to a full bathroom. There is also a practical winter advantage to the traditional futon approach. A thick winter futon, known as a fuyu futon, is designed specifically for cold weather and can provide significant warmth even without additional blankets. For someone trying to stay warm in a cold van without running the engine all night, a quality winter futon is a genuinely important piece of gear. Speaking of staying warm, the challenge of winter temperatures inside a vehicle is something every Japanese van dweller has to solve, and the solutions they use reveal how creative and resourceful this lifestyle demands you to be. One of the things that separates someone who is merely surviving in a van from someone who is actually living comfortably in one is organization. When every object you own has to fit inside a space roughly the size of a large walk-in closet, and when you still need to be able to find everything quickly and move around without constantly tripping over things, organization becomes a skill you develop fast. Japanese van dwellers tend to approach this with a mindset that has obvious parallels to broader Japanese aesthetic values around tidiness and the elimination of waste. The concept of mono no aware, an appreciation for simplicity, and the transient nature of things might seem abstract, but its practical cousin is a very concrete kind of minimalism that makes van living possible. Plastic storage containers are the foundation of most van storage setups in Japan. Clear boxes allow you to see what is inside without opening them. They stack cleanly, they are inexpensive, and they are available everywhere from convenience stores to 100-yen shops. Under the sleeping platform, against the walls, in the gap behind the driver's seat, containers fill every available space. Wall hooks made of adhesive or drilled mounting hardware, hold bags, clothing items, and tools within easy reach. A small shelf built against the back door or the sidewall can hold a cooking setup, a water container, or a few personal items. The van is essentially arranged the way a ship's cabin or a small train compartment might be organized, with every item assigned a specific location and secured against movement. What people do not bring is just as important as what they do bring. Living in a van forces a level of possession reduction that most people living in apartments never have to confront. Books are limited to a few favorites or replaced by digital alternatives. Clothing is reduced to a core set of versatile pieces. Sentimental objects that have no daily function get left behind. This is not always easy, but it is the necessary discipline that makes the lifestyle livable. And as you will see in the next chapter, this discipline becomes even more critical when the temperature drops and staying warm becomes a matter of genuine urgency. Japan is not a tropical country. Winter temperatures in much of Japan, including Tokyo and the surrounding regions, regularly drop close to freezing and sometimes below it. In cities like Sendai or Sapporo, further north, winter is genuinely harsh. Sleeping inside an unheated metal vehicle in these conditions is not just uncomfortable. Without proper preparation, it can be dangerous. The first line of defense for most Japanese van dwellers is insulation of the windows. Glass loses heat extremely quickly, and a van has a lot of glass surface area. Purpose-made window insulation covers, called Mado insulation in common Japanese, or custom-cut pieces of foam board covered in reflective material, are used to block the windows from the inside at night. This serves two purposes simultaneously. It retains heat inside the van, and it provides privacy. You can buy reflective foam insulation panels at hardware stores and cut them precisely to the shape of each window. When the panels are in place, the van becomes noticeably warmer and completely private. The second layer is bedding. A good winter futon, combined with a quality sleeping bag rated for low temperatures, creates a system where body heat is efficiently retained throughout the night. Some van dwellers use chemical hand warmers, called kairo in Japanese, which are small disposable heat packs that stay warm for hours. These can be placed inside the sleeping bag or held against the body. Kairo are widely available in Japanese convenience stores during winter and are extremely cheap. Layered clothing is the third element. Rather than relying on any single warm piece of clothing, experienced van dwellers wear multiple thin layers that trap air between them. Thermal underwear, a fleece mid-layer, and an outer insulating layer can maintain body temperature remarkably well, even in very cold conditions. What most van dwellers in Japan try to avoid is running the engine for heat. Idling an engine to run the heater burns fuel, creates exhaust gases that can be dangerous inside or near a closed vehicle, and draws attention in parking areas where people might report a vehicle that has been running for hours overnight. The passive insulation approach, futon plus sleeping bag plus layers plus window covers, is both safer and cheaper. Just how people manage to eat and cook within this same constrained environment is where the next piece of the puzzle falls into place. Ask anyone who has lived in a vehicle what the biggest daily challenge is, and food usually comes up near the top of the list. You have no kitchen, no refrigerator, no running water, and very limited storage. In Japan, this challenge is met with a combination of equipment choices, menu simplicity, and strategic use of available resources. The portable gas stove, known as a cassette conro in Japanese, is the backbone of cooking in Japanese van life. These compact stoves run on small gas canisters that are sold at convenience stores and hardware stores all over Japan. They are simple, reliable, and powerful enough to boil water or cook a simple meal in a few minutes. Many Japanese van dwellers use a single-burner cassette conro set up on a small foldable table or on the van's cargo floor. The menu is deliberately simple. Instant ramen, called insutanto ramen, requires only boiling water and takes about 3 minutes to prepare. Canned goods like tuna, sardines, and various prepared foods can be eaten cold or warmed quickly. Japanese convenience stores, the ubiquitous conbini, sell freshly prepared onigiri rice balls, bento boxes, and hot foods at reasonable prices, which means that a hot meal is always available nearby without any cooking at all. The conbini is, in many ways, the van dweller's kitchen. Rice cooked in a small portable rice cooker is another common option. Small, low-wattage rice cookers exist that can be powered from the van's electrical system using an inverter. Combined with a few simple side dishes from a convenience store, a bowl of rice becomes a filling and inexpensive meal. Water is managed carefully. A large plastic water jug, refilled at public facilities or purchased, serves as the drinking and cooking water supply. Washing dishes is done with a small amount of water and a portable basin. The wastewater is disposed of properly, not dumped on the ground. Hygiene and environmental responsibility go together in this lifestyle out of both practical necessity and respect for the places where van dwellers park. Speaking of where they park, choosing the right location for overnight sleeping is one of the most important skills a Japanese van dweller develops. The question of where to sleep is one that every vehicle dweller faces, and in Japan the answer involves a specific understanding of public space, local customs, and a handful of reliable options that the Japanese infrastructure actually makes possible. The most well-known overnight parking option in Japan is the Michi no Ikei. Literally translated, Michi no Ikei means road station. These are publicly funded roadside rest areas located throughout Japan, particularly along national roads. They typically offer free parking, public restrooms that are open around the clock, and sometimes vending machines, small restaurants, or local produce shops. For someone living in a van, the Michi no Ikei is remarkably close to ideal as an overnight stop. It is legal, free, has restrooms, and is designed to accommodate travelers who need to stop and rest. Urban van dwellers face a somewhat different situation. In cities, large parking areas associated with shopping centers, supermarkets, or public facilities are sometimes used for overnight stays. Though this varies by location and requires careful judgment, some parking areas post signs prohibiting overnight stays, and respecting those restrictions is important both legally and for the sake of the broader community of van dwellers, who can lose access to good locations if they develop a bad reputation. There is also a particular culture of discretion that experienced Japanese van dwellers practice. Arriving after dark, keeping lights minimal, leaving before business is open, and being clean and quiet are all part of an unspoken code. The goal is to be invisible, to occupy a space without disturbing it, and to leave it exactly as you found it. This approach connects to a Japanese concept called meiwaku, which means causing trouble or inconvenience to others. Avoiding meiwaku is a strong social value in Japan, and even people living in extreme circumstances often hold to it. As consistent as van dwellers are about where they park, they are equally consistent about maintaining hygiene in ways that might surprise you. One of the most common questions people ask about van living is how you stay clean when you have no shower, no bathtub, and no running water. In Japan, this turns out to be a more solvable problem than in many other countries, simply because of the infrastructure that already exists. Japan has a long tradition of public bathing. The sento, a public bathhouse, has been a feature of Japanese neighborhoods for centuries. You pay a small entry fee, typically around 500 yen or less, and you have access to a full bathing facility with hot water, showers, and deep soaking tubs. For a van dweller, the sento solves the hygiene problem cleanly and affordably. Many cities still have multiple sento facilities, and some areas have newer super sento facilities that combine bathing with additional amenities. Beyond the traditional sento, coin-operated showers exist at some highway rest stops and sports facilities. Some van dwellers purchase memberships to budget gyms specifically for access to shower facilities. A monthly gym membership that costs a few thousand yen provides daily access to showers, lockers, and sometimes laundry facilities, making it one of the most cost-effective hygiene solutions available. Laundry is handled at coin laundromats called coin randori in Japanese, which are found throughout Japan even in smaller towns. These facilities usually have both washing machines and dryers, so clothing can be completely washed and dried in a couple of hours for a few hundred yen. The rhythm of van life in Japan often revolves around these stops: the conbini for food, the sento or gym for bathing, the coin randori for laundry, and the michi no ike for overnight parking. It is a circuit of public infrastructure that, taken together, makes daily life genuinely manageable. Dental hygiene and other basic grooming are handled with bottled water, a small basin, and visits to public restroom facilities. Japan's public restrooms are famously well maintained, particularly in convenience stores and highway rest areas, which makes this aspect of daily life more comfortable than it might sound. All of these practical habits come together to create something that deserves a closer look on its own terms: a lifestyle built around radical simplicity. When you add up everything we have talked about in this video, a picture emerges that is more coherent and more intentional than most people expect. A sleeping platform, winter futon, and a cassette conro for hot meals form a complete system for daily life. A rotation of conbini, sento, and coin randores stops covers food, hygiene, and laundry, while michi no iki provide reliable parking. Individually, these elements are modest and inexpensive. Together, they reflect Japanese values of cleanliness, resourcefulness, and respect for shared spaces. Whether driven by economic necessity or choice, the van is a tool for independence. It provides stability through disciplined routines or freedom from high fixed costs. Both narratives prove that shelter is more than four walls, illustrating the human ability to adapt and live with purpose. Life, even in a van, is lived as well as possible. A $500 van, a wooden sleeping platform, a folded winter futon, window insulation cut from foam board at a hardware store, Cairo warmers, a cassette conro, and a michi no iki, where the restrooms are always open. That is all it takes to turn a vehicle into a home. And once you understand how it all fits together, it is hard not to see a kind of ingenuity in it that deserves more attention and more respect than it usually gets.